Part 2. That night he didn't come. I didn't worry at first. I told myself he was tired, that schedules had swallowed him whole again, that the world had simply borrowed him for a few extra hours. By the second night, I stopped checking the hallway. By the third, I stopped sleeping. On the fourth day, my phone buzzed, not with his name, but with a headline that felt like a slap. Rising idol Soojin hospitalized after collapse from exhaustion. Fans flooded timelines with prayers. The company posted a neatly worded statement about overwork and recovery. No one mentioned the boy who used to press his forehead to mine and whisper, "I'm scared, Minho," like fear was something we could share and survive together. I went to the hospital that evening. I didn't cross the street. I stood on the opposite sidewalk, rain soaking through my jacket, watching the building breathe in and out with fluorescent light. Ambulances came and went. Nurses hurried past glass doors that would never open for me. Somewhere in there was the person who once waited in the rain because he thought no one would ever come for him. And now I wasn't allowed to go. I stayed until my fingers went numb and my reflection in the glass started to look like a stranger. For the first time since childhood, I felt truly, irreversibly, alone. He texted the next morning. "I'm okay, but we need to stop seeing each other for a while." Not a call. Not my name. Just a sentence that erased years. My hands shook as I typed. "Is this your decision? Or theirs?" 3 dots appeared. They vanished. Appeared again. I watched them like a heart monitor. Then the message came. Both. That was it. That was how everything we had ever been was reduced to 4 letters and a period. People think love ends with screaming or betrayal. Ours ended with obedience. And what made it unbearable was that I understood. I hated myself for it, but I understood. I thought I knew what heartbreak was. I was wrong. Heartbreak isn't loud. It doesn't throw things or beg or collapse in the rain outside hospitals. Heartbreak is quiet. It's waking up and realizing your phone has become a museum. Every message a locked display case you're not allowed to touch anymore. It's rereading "Did you eat?" like it's a confession of love. It's opening your gallery and pausing on photos where his eyes were only ever looking at you. It's knowing that somewhere behind security doors and spotless company statements, he is being taught how to forget me. Weeks passed. His face was everywhere. On buses. On subway walls. Smiling down at people who would never know how his hands shook when the lights went out. I learned to live with the silence the way one learns to walk through fog. Slowly, carefully. Pretending the emptiness isn't swallowing the sound of their own footsteps. By pretending nothing was ever supposed to be there in the first place. But sometimes, late at night, I still listen for 2 short knocks and 1 long. And the absence is louder than any scream. We didn't stop talking completely. That would have killed us. Instead, we learned a new language, one built from safe words and hollow spaces, messages that could belong to anyone, to no one. "Did you eat? Take care. Busy today." No names. No memories. No traces of us. I hated it. Every word felt like walking past your own house and pretending you'd never lived there. The cafe got busier as summer crept in. Tourists came with cameras slung around their necks. Fans came whispering about schedules and rumors, and strangers came to sit at my tables with stars in their eyes. One girl once leaned across the counter, cheeks flushed, and asked, "Do you believe idols can have real relationships?" I smiled. I was good at smiling now. "Yes," I said. I closed the cafe early that night and cried on the kitchen floor until my ribs hurt, until my tears soaked into the same tiles where I used to imagine him standing beside me, stealing sips from my mug. Months passed. I started dreaming about him like he was dead. Not gone, just unreachable. Standing on the other side of glass I could never touch. Then one night my phone rang. A private number. "Minho," his voice whispered, shaky and thin like it had been scraped raw. "I can't breathe here anymore." I didn't ask where here was. I already knew. "I need you," he said. I grabbed my jacket before he finished the sentence, hands trembling so badly I dropped my keys twice. He was waiting in a park near the river, hood pulled low, mask hiding half his face, hands buried in his pockets like he was afraid even his fingers might betray him. Street lamps reflected off the water in broken lines. Nothing whole, everything trembling. When he saw me, his shoulders sagged like he'd been carrying the world on his back and had finally been allowed to put it down. I'm tired, he said. That was all. Not I missed you. Not I'm sorry. Just the truth. I stepped closer before I could talk myself out of it. He didn't move, just watched me like he was bracing for something he didn't deserve anymore. Our lips met without urgency, a hesitant, aching brush, more memory than kiss, like we were trying to remember how to belong to each other. His mouth trembled against mine, and for a second he leaned in, then pulled back again, afraid even of this. I stepped into his arms. He folded into me like gravity had been holding him upright until I arrived. His forehead pressed to my shoulder, breath uneven, the smallest sound escaping his throat. Not quite a sob, not quite a sigh. And for a moment, just one fragile, borrowed moment, the world went quiet again. We stopped meeting in my neighborhood. Too many eyes. Too many phones lifted at the wrong angle. Instead we found places no one ever bothered to photograph. The library basement where the air smelled like dust and forgotten dreams, where he'd sit cross-legged between shelves and trace patterns on my palm like we were just students killing time. A karaoke room booked under a fake name, lights dimmed low, his voice stripped of choreography and perfection as he sang quietly. Only for me, only to remember what music felt like before it belonged to everyone else. A rooftop parking lot overlooking the Han River where no fans ever looked up, where we leaned against concrete railings and pretended the skyline was something we could escape instead of something closing in around us. There, he was just Soojin. Not the idol. Not the headline. Not the fantasy. Mine. One night on the rooftop, wind tugging at his hoodie, he rested his forehead against mine and whispered, "Do you ever think about leaving? Where would we go?" I asked. "Anywhere they don't own me." I didn't answer, because I had already imagined it. Soojin without a stage name, standing beside me in a city where no one screamed when he smiled, holding my hand in public like it was the most ordinary thing in the world. And it terrified me how badly I wanted it. That year his group exploded. Sold-out tours, brand deals, airport mobs so thick you couldn't see the floor beneath them. I watched it all from my phone like someone studying the life of a stranger who happened to wear the face I loved. And yet, whenever he managed to escape, he came back to me. Exhausted, thinner, eyes carrying too much light and not enough rest. We would cling to each other in borrowed rooms and whisper lies we needed to survive. This is enough. This will work. We can keep doing this. That was the lie we lived on. That stolen moments could replace a real life. And every time I watched him walk away again, I felt it cracking. One evening he showed me a message from his manager. He didn't hand me his phone right away. He stared at the screen for a long time first, thumb hovering like he was deciding whether I deserved to see the thing that was about to break us. Finally, he turned it toward me. "Dating rumors are circulating again. We'll need you to sign a behavior agreement." The words were polite, professional, designed to sound like protection instead of control. "What happens if you don't?" I asked. He smiled, not the kind fans loved, but the tired curve he only ever showed me. "They'll find a way to make me." And that was when I understood. We weren't hiding our love anymore. We were negotiating its survival. Negotiations always demand a sacrifice. I just didn't know yet that the sacrifice was going to be me. We were in the library basement when it happened. The air smelled like old paper and broken spines. The kind of place no one ever noticed, which was why it had become ours. We weren't crying. We weren't fighting. We were sitting side by side with a book neither of us was reading, shoulders almost touching, like closeness alone could hold us together. Soojin, I said quietly. He looked at me immediately. He always did. If they asked you to choose, I said, staring at my hands like they might give me strength. Between your career and me, what would you do? Silence stretched between us. The kind that doesn't wait for permission to hurt. I don't want to imagine that, he said at last. But imagine it anyway. His jaw tightened. Minho. Just answer me. He closed his eyes. And in that moment, before he spoke, I already knew. I would try to find a way to keep both, he whispered. I laughed softly, because I didn't trust my voice not to break. That's not an answer. He opened his eyes, guilt flooding them like he'd just realized something too late. I love you, he said. I know, I replied. But love doesn't always choose you. That night I went home alone. And for the first time since we were children, I didn't wait for his message. The silence didn't feel like relief. It felt like the pause after something shatters. The moment when your ears are ringing and you haven't realized yet that you're bleeding. I started packing. Not because I had somewhere to go, but because staying felt like suffocating in a room that used to be my home. People say walking away is cowardly, but loving him had started to erase me, and I was so tired of being invisible. I didn't tell him I was leaving. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay in the shape he needed me to be. Quiet, hidden, temporary. I quit the cafe in a single sentence, voice shaking like I was confessing a crime. I deleted his contact, even though my fingers trembled over every letter, and saved it under a fake name like I could trick my own heart. I changed my routine the way people do when they're afraid of being followed, different routes, different trains, different versions of myself. I wasn't escaping him. I was trying to survive myself. The night before I left Seoul, I went to our old rooftop, the place where I learned what love felt like, where I had once believed not being afraid was all you needed. It looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe I had grown. Or maybe I had just outgrown waiting. For the first time since the day we met, I began avoiding him. I let calls go unanswered, read messages and closed them without replying. That I told myself it was temporary, that I just needed space. But really, I was trying to learn how to breathe without him. A week later, I heard it. 2 short knocks, 1 long. Our secret. My heart broke before I even reached the door. I stood there for a long moment, forehead resting against the wood, as if I could press myself into being braver. When I finally opened it, I didn't say a word. I just stepped aside and let him come in. He stopped in the hallway. So did I. We stared at each other in the quiet like strangers who shared too many memories to speak them out loud. He always knew where my heart went when it was breaking. Why are you running? He asked, breathless, eyes wide and searching. The same eyes that once waited in the rain because he thought no one would ever come for him. I'm not, I said softly. I'm finally walking. He took a step toward me, hand lifting instinctively. I stepped back. The hurt on his face was immediate, sharp, unguarded, like he'd just been wounded by something he hadn't seen coming. I can't lose you, he said, voice cracking. You already are, I replied. That's it for today's video. This is the ending of my childhood friend who is my lover is the idol. If you want more of Soojin and Minho, then please like, share and subscribe. I'll write more of them once I hit 100 likes on this story. Thank you.